everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining the Smoky Saint Show today. We have a special treat for everyone that found us today and happened to join. I think it is
Mic
actually
check.
PMAR's first official, real live, formal debate. I'm
Mic
so excited.
check.
It's amazing, and it's happening here on my channel. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. We are streaming on Twitch and also D Live today as well. So let's go ahead and bring our debaters in. Our topic today is going to be veganism. PMARS, welcome. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, Smokey. I'm doing well.
Awesome, man. Beautiful. Well, looking stylish today, man. Got yourself all pro looking, all spiffy, ready for this debate. Good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Would you like to give a little introduction to the audience? Let everyone know about yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm PMars. That's my YouTube channel, and I started getting involved in online debates with the flat Earth debating. Actually, and like you said, I've never really done an official debate, but I've just been kind of around Google Hangouts at the time, and now Discord and StreamYard. So I like to come on and discuss things, and I'm very opinionated. So I thought it'd be fun to do a sort of one of these formal debates. So here I am.
Cool. Beautiful stuff, man. Well, hey, great to have you, and I'm glad it's happening here, man. That's outstanding. And yes, we will have the link to PMars's channel down in the description when we upload this onto YouTube after the fact as well. So good stuff. Thank you for that, PMars. And we're also joined by Zanakin Banachek. Good afternoon, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you.
Excellent, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us and being willing to participate and give PMars that official opponent that he was so desperately looking for. It's beautiful stuff. Feel free to introduce yourself to the audience and let everyone know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I just started doing YouTube more interactively about a year ago. So, this is the first time I've ever done debate too. I don't have a channel of my own or anything. I'm usually just a lurker. So, I just figured I'd volunteer since it doesn't seem like your audience has many vegans in it.
Well, beautiful, and yes, good call. We do not have many vegans in the audience. I was tickled pink when you actually chimed up in chat that said that you were also a vegan and willing to debate PMAR. So this is able to be put together on behalf of your graciousness and benevolence and willing to show up, sir. So thank you so much for that. Very, very much appreciate it. Well, for the audience, just so you know, the format is relatively simple, pretty straightforward, very similar to what it is over on Modern Day Debate, which of course, hopefully, we will be seeing PMAR appearing on Modern Day Debate to also debate vegans as well, which we're hoping this will be a bit of a resume to show his performance in the debate setting. So the debate is very simple format. It's going to be about 10 to 12 minute openings from each side, followed by about 45 minutes of open conversation, closing with about 5 or so minutes for closing statements, uninterrupted, anything that each debater would like to say. And then if anyone happens to want to post some comments in the side chat, we'll post some questions. If you guys want to put questions in the side chat, we'll be able to pose a couple to the debaters if you guys are interested, and then we'll be ready to close. Now, we didn't actually pick who was going first. Gentlemen, do either of you have a preference? Typically, the positive position would usually be the one to go first, which would be Zanakin for the pro-veganism stance. Zanakin, are you okay going first, or would you prefer to flip a coin?
Zanakin can choose that. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm okay going first if I have to.
Would you rather go first? I can go first too. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it's completely up to you, Zanakin. Whatever you'd prefer. Mars is giving it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just go first.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Excellent. Well, then we will give you the floor, and we'll mute our mics, and I will. Oh, wait. Hold on. Where's my timer? Hold on. Give me a sec. I forgot to grab it. Give me a second.
Okay.
Probably won't even need it for this debate. I don't think. I'm pretty concise, and Zanakin said he probably wasn't gonna take the full, but yeah, whatever.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. Now. All right. And. Okay, all right, and Mr. Banachek, on your word, sir, we are ready to go.
All right, hi. So, my position is to promote what I call a healthy vegan diet, and I want people to be less meat dependent. And I'm against factory farming, um, because of the cruel and clean living conditions that they have to live in, plus the environmental impact of it. Um, Factory farming accounts for about 37% of methane emissions, which has like 20 times the global warming potential of CO2. Plus, the deforestation for animal grazing for farms is estimated to emit about 2.4 billion tons of CO2 every year. So the amount of pollution caused by the farming is pretty high. And I think it's unnecessary because our meats, especially American diets, are really centered around meat. Um, Plus, large-scale animal factories usually give antibiotics to the farm animals, so that way they grow faster and to compensate for the illness that results from the crowded conditions of factory farms. And the antibiotics can actually enter the environment and the food chain, which has the effect of making antibiotics less effective for humans because we consume those animals. A lot of diseases are spread through the unsanitary conditions that the farm animals are kept in, which spreads to the humans, populace through like farm workers, into the general public. I do have a bit of a moral problem with it. I think it's a bit dubious considering like we don't have to eat meat anymore to be healthy because of things like vitamins and supplements. And I'm not like attacking anyone who eats meat or uses animal products or anything. Like I understand that like it's a staple of a lot of people's diets, and I don't expect that we would be able to phase meat out like overnight or anything. So I don't think like you're morally reprehensible if you eat meat or anything. I think like the future goal should be to eat either as little meat as possible or none at all. And it also it just kind of it's part of one of the reasons that I don't understand the way that some people view eating meat has a lot to do with like why we view certain dogs and cats, for instance, as like pets, but like we're okay with killing cows and chickens and stuff. Like to me, it doesn't seem like there's a huge difference. Uh, um, I don't really have a whole lot else in my opening statement. I'm sure we'll get into other positions I have during the debate. So I'll give the rest of the time to P. Mars.
All right, beautiful. Okay, well, you actually had 9 minutes to spare there, but that's good. That's beautiful, short and sweet, straight to it. Some good points made. Appreciate that, Sanikin. Thank you so much. PMARS, sir, on your word, I'll start your clock.
Okay, so originally I was thinking about arguing for the merits of like eating meat or being an omnivore, but actually I kind of want to talk about. I actually think there's a hidden danger to veganism that I'd like to talk about. So to me this whole idea of veganism, it comes from the establishment, it comes from the top down. It is not a grassroots thing, and I think that's one of the reasons it's become very, very popular. It's definitely trending, and we see this in the 1992 Earth Summit, in which Maurice Strong, he talked about sustainability, and he mentioned some of the concerns for the environment that Zenikin brought up, global warming and such. So he talked about having people eat less meat, and then that Earth Summit became known as Agenda 21. So there does seem to be an agenda from the establishment to get us to reduce meat consumption, and I don't necessarily think that they're doing it because they want us to be healthy and they love us and they're just these benevolent people at the United Nations that care so much about us. I think there's a sinister reason for that. So I think it one of the sinister things that part of veganism is that it kind of blurs the line between differences between humans and animals, to where vegans almost think of like animals should have the same rights as humans, for instance. And this was I think Maurice Strong mentioned this at the Earth Summit when someone questioned him about all of the things he was talking about, and Maurice Strong replied with something to the effect of, by the time we're done with our agenda, you'll wish you had the same rights as a plant, or as a tree, excuse me. So I think we could see a trend towards like putting plants and animals as like above humans, and it's a slippery slope, I guess, and I know that's not totally a valid argument, but I do see a trend in that direction. And also I know that depopulation is part, I think, of something that these people want to do, that are pushing this vegan vegetarian thing. And I think that in the past, peasants really couldn't afford to eat meat, and as a result we had health issues, like there was stunted growth. And I think by attacking or changing our diet, they could make the population less healthy and more susceptible to things like COVID or whatever. Various. The worse our diet, the more susceptible we are going to be to other things that could kill us, and that would go along with depopulation. So we've seen a lot of, in my opinion, propaganda to push these like false moral narratives that vegans. I think it's a whole like false moral narrative that they're pushing. Like we've seen cartoons in the 90s, with the Earth Summit was in the 90s. We've seen like Captain Planet, and they're pitching evil man destroying the environment. You know, man's evil, animals and nature is good. We see that in movies like Fern Gully. Something else I was going to mention about propaganda that they're pushing. Oh, The Matrix. Yeah, we see in The Matrix.
I did laugh pretty hard at that. It's just my mic was muted. Go ahead, P-Mar. Sorry.
In The Matrix, we see the same agenda where Agent Smith confronts Morpheus, and he talks about humans are a virus. And I'm a huge fan of, I love nature and I love animals, and I watch nature documentaries. And every nature documentary, there's a little bit in there about, and the evil humans invading the natural habitat of the innocent, benevolent animals who never did anything wrong. And so we're just constantly bombarded with this, like, humans are evil, animals are good and innocent. And it creates like this false narrative where we start like putting animals almost above, like people care more when the animals die than like if a homeless person dies. And that's a danger, I think. I think that this life and death, and it's a natural cycle, and that it's not necessarily wrong, you know, to kill something and consume it for to go on and sustain yourself and survive. That's how the ecosystem works. We have producers like plants, which take energy from the sun, produce. Then we have consumers like herbivores, carnivores, which consume the producers, and then we have like things like fungus and bacteria, which break down things in the environment. Like, it's a beautiful, you know, cycle. And it's like, to me, vegans are trying to take this cycle and say like this part of the cycle is evil or immoral, and I think it's a totally false narrative based on this propaganda. And I also think like a lot of the things that vegans are fighting for, they don't have to fight for, because people already have a lot of these vegan ethics. Like, I don't meet people that are like, let's, you know, torture animals. I mean, sure, you got a case like Michael Vick, who's like doing dog fighting, but we already have laws. Like, he went to prison. We do. Yes, there are factory farms where bad things happen, but again, I think the vegans want to highlight all these like horrible extreme examples, and the majority of animals, I think, are treated well, and they're killed in a humane way. So, you know, we're bombarded with this false narrative, and we it affects like our judgment, and we start to see truth in that. There's all types of problems too, because life is a continuum, and it becomes really arbitrary. A continuum, I mean that. So we can tell obviously there's a huge difference between a human and like a single-celled organism, but the continuum of life, like as you go from like human to gorilla, you know, animal to plant, plant and insect, like as you go down this like hierarchy of life, it's kind of blurred as the differences between as you go, right? But we know there's a difference between human and the single-celled organisms, but it becomes kind of arbitrary, like all the like how you categorize and differentiate life. So it's like, how do we go, okay, it's, you know, we're going to arbitrarily say animals, their suffering is more important than the suffering of plants or insects or whatever, you know, it's at bacteria. Like at what point do we stop? Are we going to stop like washing our hands because we're killing bacteria? Poor bacteria. I mean, that's the extreme, but I think that's the line of thinking we're going down, and it's kind of like mental, really. You can't end suffering. Animals are always going to suffer, even when we get rid of the cows grazing and stuff, and it's all like plant fields. There's going to be insects. There's going to be small animals that die to pesticides. So it's probably a wash how much like suffering we're even getting rid of there. Let's see here. Not all plants are grown in the same way. Not all animals are raised the same way. Trying to simplify things down to plant equals good, meat equals bad is a skewed vision of things. It's not really going to help. You know, it's more nuanced, and they kind of want to boil it down to eating plant good, eating meat bad, and it's not that simple. And then of course there's the nutritional argument. Yes, I will concede that you can have a healthy vegan diet, but you do require supplementation. And for someone like me who lifts weights and is trying to put on a little muscle, get stronger, it's even as using animal products, it's hard to get the daily amount of protein I need. So I couldn't imagine like if I just have to eat beans and lentils and nuts, like it'd be pretty hard. I guess I could supplement again with like some vegan protein powder or something, but I don't know. It's kind of like a lot to ask someone, especially right now. I mean, in the future it'll probably be easier because I'm sure the agenda is shifting that way. But like right now, it's kind of hard to eat vegan if you go to a restaurant. You can't really order much on the meal, so it is a real like nuisance. And I do find some problems with veganism too. Is like it kind of reminds me of the Catholic Church in a way, where they try and make you feel guilty for something that you shouldn't feel guilty for. It's a normal, natural thing that you do. Like Catholics were big on making people feel guilty over sex. Like priests weren't even allowed to get married. Like what's that about? That's messed up. And kind of reminds me of the Jewish people too, about how the Jews, they had all these rules about what you could eat and how you eat and how you wash your utensils even, and it's like that's kind of like, and the Jews were very judgmental about how people ate, and vegans kind of remind me of these old school Jews, like judging people based on the law and these like arbitrary morals. 'Cause it's like, oh, you ate a pig, then you're a bad person. Like it's just, it sounds silly, right? And that, to me, veganism has a lot of similarities. It's like they think it's like works-based salvation. Like they think they're better and more moral, superior because of the like what? Not necessarily. Xanakin didn't seem like that, but a lot of vegans, they think they're better than you because of what they eat. Kind of reminds me of like the Jewish people judging people based on what they eat. So, and I don't think that's right to do. But yeah, I guess I will yield the rest of my time.
Beautiful. You had about a minute 20 to spare. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for that, PMARS. Really appreciate it. Okay, guys. Well, now we're going to move into our open conversation. Xanakin, if you would like to kind of open, feel free, since PMARS just finished his opening statement, so you'll get first opportunity to kind of cross-examine and take the conversation away. And I'll start the clock, gentlemen, whenever you begin.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, I think 90% of vegans that I interact with on a day-to-day basis are blowhards and incredibly judgmental, so I'm right there with you on that. Um, I think that I do think that there's an agenda push to get people to adopt more vegan diets also, but I don't think that it's just like some cabal of like elite people who want to hoard the meat and the wealth for themselves as much as I think it's like an actual problem. And just the sheer amount of meat that we use is unsustainable. I don't think like totally eliminating it is necessary. Most of my problem stems from like factory farming, just like pumping cattle out like thousands of heads at a time every day. It's just it doesn't seem like we need to eat that much meat. Plus, a lot of the weight bodybuilders often, by the way, use whey protein, which is plant based, so to bulk up.
Whey protein, I'm pretty sure, is from cow milk.
Oh, milk. Okay. Well, either way, I don't know. I mean, I'm a vegan. I've never really had too much trouble gaining bulk, but I mean, as far as judging people for their diet goes, too, it's like I don't judge somebody, for instance, who like eats fast food every day, but it doesn't mean it's healthy.
Yeah, I
As a point.
That's yeah. There's more problems with our food system. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of junk food, and it's like there does seem to be a conspiracy in our food because if you're working a 9 to 5 job, you're pretty much forced to eat fast food, and there's not a lot of healthy options. So it's like we've kind of created a society or an environment where you're almost forced to eat in an unhealthy manner for a lot of people who work. They don't have left. You need a lot of time to cook and shop and prepare all this.
Oh, I agree.
It takes a lot of time. But
I agree. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say like the one thing about I agree. Like I don't like to see animals suffer and all that. And factory farming, I think like they should treat the animals well. But another thing to think about or consider is that if we didn't eat meat, like cows wouldn't exist, chickens wouldn't exist. They've kind of been domesticated, and we can't just like return them to the wild, really. So yes, they are being bred to be slaughtered, but it's like they still have a life. Like they still enjoy their life. It's not like I don't know. I don't think we should judge and be like, you shouldn't have a life because you get killed at the end and turned into food. So I'm just going to take your entire life away. Like it's still their life, and I don't think we should take it away from them.
Right. I mean, well, part of the problem that I have with that is like you're thinking of like pasture farms, I think mostly because factory farms, they really aren't like, oh, you have a good life. It's like shoulder to shoulder. And that's why they pump them full of so many antibiotics, because they're so close together that they spread disease like wildfire. Like chickens are probably like the worst example of it. I mean, they literally have so many chickens crammed together in crates that like they just leave the dead ones there. And I mean, the amount of disease that the decaying chicken spread is, I mean, it's pretty bad, So like, mostly I just think like, if people were to reduce their dependence on meat.
Kind of cut out there. Well, I don't like the idea of animals living shoulder to shoulder in cages. Like that's pretty awful. But
hold on a second, Quentin. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Xanakin. Go ahead. No, he's gonna check out. We'll take a pause there for a second. That was a very let me give you kudos, P Mars. That was a very polished opening statement, and had a good set of points that you prepared and came with. So thank you for that. That was a very nice opening.
Thank you. I was a little bit worried because I winged it a little bit.
Well, no,
didn't
I
write
can
it
tell
out.
you did, and that's actually a good thing because that also means that your delivery sometimes is a little bit more organic,
Yeah.
and that actually helps you, kind of be able to seem more personable to the audience. And it all depends on the audience members. Some of them will be very keen to nitpicking on you if you don't prepare, and the others will be the other way. In fact, it's actually quite funny. I've seen that on my own debates where the first couple, debates I had, I prepared, a pre-prepared speech, type of
Hmm.
opening. And everyone was commenting, oh, he needs to have a speech prepared and type it out. So then the next couple, I didn't prepare a speech. I just had points and I just opened with them and ran with it. And then people were like, oh, and now he's not preparing for that. So like, there's always going to be haters, and it's
Yeah.
just, it just is what it is. But no, I thought it was a
Well,
very good opening.
I
And
did.
yeah,
I
I'm
did
proud of you.
have. I did have notes and stuff. But
I'm back, by the way.
I
Oh,
was just.
good, Zach.
I'd like to
Thank
say
you.
real quick though, Smokey, that
Sure.
the last debate I heard of you, you were reading from something, and like I wasn't. I didn't have a problem with you reading from it or anything, but I just thought you like read too fast because you were like trying to be within the time limit. But it was like
Yeah.
if you just should have
It was
slowed
the
down.
cosmic. It was the
Yes,
cosmic.
it was kind of hard to. It was
Yeah.
kind of hard to follow because you just read it a little bit too fast. But
Yeah,
that's
I
the only.
appreciate you. Thanks. I appreciate you saying that, P Mars, because I kind of felt that a little myself, and I do need to get a little better at polishing the timing of those openings. So thank you for saying that, and I do appreciate that criticism because I kind of felt the same way that I was really kind of stepping on the gas through that one. That some of my better points might have been lost. So thank you for saying that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Okay, gentlemen, please, whenever you like, go ahead and proceed.
Well, we were talking about the factory farming and like the chickens in cages side by side. And I don't. Did you have a point you were gonna finish? I was gonna add something to that, but I was gonna say about how we kind of have that situation with like
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, well, my
Oh.
with what?
I was gonna make an argument that we kind of had that situation with humans.
We have
Like
the situation with what?
humans are in that situation. Like animals in factory farms, we have like sweatshops where people are like shoulder to shoulder, working in horrible conditions. And in some countries, it's like they're forced. It's almost like they're forced. So like in a lot of ways, like humans are treated worse than animals sometimes. Like so I kind of want to. I
Well,
kind of
I
want
would
to.
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, like, by the way, I don't literally at all base my, vegan opinions on morality. Like,
Right.
animals are. If you were to let them all go on the line, I'd suffer still. Like, we're not eliminating that. Mostly it's just a concern with the viability of it. Like, how long can we really continue, especially with the population of humans just exploding, like, every decade or so.
Right.
Like, eventually we're gonna have to accept the fact that we need an alternative.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I think that's where the future's going. Unfortunately. What was I gonna say? I was gonna make a point. Oh yeah. So like the point I was gonna make about the humans in the sweatshop is like, to me, and you're not making, I guess, the moral arguments, and I kind of prepared more for moral arguments, but so from the vegan perspective, it's like they would almost want
I
to
mean,
stop purchasing, like stop
I can,
purchasing Nikes, right? Because it's bad that humans suffer by making Nike shoes in a sweatshop. So stop purchasing Nikes. But now, like, the human doesn't have a job, and now, like, so it's like, the vegan is almost saying it's better for that human to like not even be alive than to have to work in a sweatshop. So it's like the only argument I'd make is like, it's not for us to judge. That animal probably has a crap life in a cage. Maybe it would prefer to be dead, but maybe it enjoys its life. Like, we can't really tell because we're not that argument. So we're not that animal. So it's to me, like, it's wrong for the vegan to say like, I've just decided that that animal is suffering and shouldn't be, just would rather die than even exist at all. And it's like they're taking away that animal's right to life. Kind of.
well, I know that there are certain. I know there are certain zoo animals that get depressed in captivity. So I mean, like, I don't know what a chicken's cognitive abilities are compared to like an orca whale, but I know pigs have like a relative understanding of the world that's equal to that of a 6-year-old, and I don't think my 6-year-old would like to be crammed into a like pen with like 100 other 6-year-olds.
Definitely not. Like my cat is.
I mean, there's a good argument for them probably not enjoying it.
Oh, they definitely don't. My cat's been stuck in a cage because he broke his leg, and he can't. The vet doesn't want him running around and jumping, so I have to keep him in a cage. And he definitely does not enjoy it. Like he's crying at me all the time and stuff. But I have to. It's kind of funny. I'm doing it actually for his own good, not to be a jerk. But I don't know. Like, I just think it's wrong to be like, well, the cat's not enjoying his life, so euthanize it.
I've had a dog. I know how that goes.
That's kind of the attitude of vegans. I just think that's a little bit presumptuous, I suppose.
Right. Well, I think a lot of vegans, especially the PETA types, I can't honestly stand them because they really do they hold animals up on a pedestal. Like, I remember having conversations where they literally will say things like, "Well, if I had to choose between killing a dude and killing a cow, like I'm gonna kill the dude," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well that's just like." I mean, I care about the suffering of animals, but it's not like my main concern. I mean, because animals suffer anyway. They don't have the same quality of life we have simply because they're just not as intelligent as we are. You know, they can't solve their problems in the same way we can. So when they're out in the wild, they're gonna freeze to death or get killed by predators and shit. Like, it's just, it is what it is. But I just think there's an unnecessary level of suffering that they probably endure under factory farming, and not to mention the health risks. I mean, there's certain epidemics and pandemics that have come out of like large amounts of caged animals. Like if you believe that COVID came from like wet markets and stuff, for instance.
Yeah, the Spanish flu came from pigs or something in America, so. You know, you're more reasonable than most vegans. Like, most vegans think there's no difference between animals and humans, it seems like. But I agree with you. Like, there is, like, I think humans have an agency. Like, humans have desires, higher level thinking. We can think about God, the meaning of life. I don't think animals are really capable of that thing. Animals, to me, are more so, like, deterministic machines that they're kind of like how the atheists think we are. Where they're just a product of their environment and chemical reactions and reactions to stimulus. I don't think they're really capable of, like, a deep love or something for, like, if I were to die, right, my cat would eat me. My cat would eat me.
A human
so.
Right.
He's not gonna be like, this guy took care of me, so maybe I shouldn't eat him because he was nice. I loved him.
We have more cognitive. What? Oh, your cat would definitely kill you if it was bigger.
Right.
Yeah, cats are, But yeah. Well, like, one thing I was gonna say is we have like more cognitive ability because our what is it, the prefrontal cortex or something is more developed. But I mean, if you put like two dudes in a cage and you starve them to death, like, they're gonna get pretty primal. So I don't know. I mean, I definitely care more about like the well-being than I do about the well-being of like cows. I'm not making that argument.
Did you say the well-being of dogs more than cows? You're kind of breaking up a
I
little
think
bit.
it benefits to try more pasteurized farming. No, humans, like people. Like,
oh, okay, good.
I care more about our well-being as a humanity thing.
Well, to maybe push the conversation forward a little bit on this point where you guys were going, would you guys take a stance of agreement or disagreement that the best course forward in terms of policies is the elimination of the farms or the reformation of the farms?
Well, I would say we already have laws in place now, but I suppose, yeah, I'm for like anything to help animals like have better lives and like avoid abuse. Because like I think animals are, because I'm a Christian, so I believe like God created animals for us to use as we see fit, but not misuse. So we shouldn't be abusing them. It's a gift from God that we should, you know, we should respect them and treat them well. So.
And Xanagan, how about you? Do you think a more optimum future point has more to do with them being eliminated or reformed? What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're just asking for my personal opinion, I would say eliminated, but I'm also a libertarian, so.
Oh, beautiful. Well, maybe if you
I would never
guys.
want to legislate away people's right to eating meat, you know?
No, well, that's good. Well, this is actually a point where you guys are kind of disagreeing, because I think PMARS would take the stance where he thinks it might be better to reform the farms, and you think it would be better to push to them to just not exist at all. So there is seemingly a disagreement between you two into whether PMARS seems to be wanting the animals to exist, and you're kind of like, well, it's better they not exist and they suffer. And I don't know if you guys kind of took that conversation to its termination point, but that does seem to be a critical disagreement between the two of you.
Well, it does sound like the reasoning. Yeah, the reasoning behind it. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't have a. I mean, I'm not religious, so the argument that they're just ours to do with what we want, certainly I don't subscribe to. So I guess we disagree on like what our rights over them are. Like I don't think we necessarily have any rights over them. Like I suppose they should have their own rights. I don't know what those rights are, but you know.
We're the masters. But I don't know. But
well, we're the smarter ones. That's really. I mean, because to me, that's the difference. Is that we're just smarter than them. We're like the apex predator, you know. But we're also smart enough to not have to be the apex predator. So why do we continue to?
well, I don't know. Where are we gonna get our food from without farms? Or did you want family farms and get rid of factory farms? Is that what you were kind of like thinking? Because even with like eating plants,
I don't know. I feel like we agree more than we disagree.
Yeah, we seem to,
not what I was expecting.
We seem to. One thing I would push back on something you said. I know you're talking about. They put antibiotics. They give a lot of antibiotics to the cows. That gets into the food supply. That we eat that and stuff, and that is unhealthy. I will agree with that, but I think you run into similar issues with plants too, where like with pesticides and stuff. So I think that's kind of a wash. Like, there's a lot of like unhealthy crap in our food, and no matter what you do, it seems like. So I was gonna say that.
Right. Yeah. I can definitely see that point. I don't even have a rebuttal to that because it's a point I never actually considered.
And it seems like your main issue is like the environmental impact
I think,
with the factory farming, and like you think
impact, yeah.
meat is a bigger impact on the
I do have a
global
problem
warming.
with. I do have a problem with.
Yeah, I don't.
Pesticides are huge. Like, actually,
Yeah.
But I don't know the numbers on that because I never looked it up.
I don't have any really good arguments.
That gives me something to think about when we're done here, for sure.
Yeah, I don't really have any good arguments to push back on the environmental impact.
Yeah,
that's not something.
I thought this was going to be more. I thought we were gonna. I thought we were gonna.
You guys are so well aligned.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, you know, here's the problem: is you're both just too entirely reasonable about this topic. You realize that, right?
Yeah, we're too
like we didn't find people that were too wildly, incredibly, insanely extreme about their particular position. Like we need like an Alex Jones for like Mars, and we need like I don't know, a Vosh for Xanacan.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not like vegan gains or anything. That would have been a better one.
No, that's
Yeah.
outstanding. Well, if you guys want, I'll help push the conversation unless you want to take forward because there are
Um.
a couple
For some
points.
reason, my internet.
Yeah,
Sure.
Xanakin seems to be having some issues
Yeah,
too.
by the way, you have been
Uh.
roboting a
You know,
bit.
I don't
We've been able to
think.
catch everything you're saying, but it has been
Yeah, I don't
roboting
think
a
a
bit.
whole lot more that we can do with the conversation.
Should we just call it? I think.
We can.
I've been noticing that on my end too.
Yeah, we're kind of have some technical issues too. I think we did all right though. For
I'm gonna try. Can I try calling you back on my computer?
Oh yeah,
Same
do
link?
that. That's fine. Yeah, no, me and
Okay,
Pete
hold
Mars
on.
will fill a few minutes. Absolutely, that's fine. No, we want to let the
I'm gonna
conversation.
try calling back.
Actually,
Hold on.
there's a couple points, P Mars, that you can drill into for the sake of really pulling out some of the core parts of this conversation. Of course, just since you are probably going to go on to MDD, and you're going to be actually debating this topic a bit because James really wants debaters for this topic, is to remember that you have a point of leverage of looking into their internal workings, of their internal critiques, of their morality and justifications. And in fact, Zanikin made a really good point that you could use in future debates, which seemed to be, he kind of had the stance of like the evolution paradigm really doesn't have any level of justifiable morality. There's no real reason to necessarily say that us being over, oh, there he is, us being over the creatures is necessarily right or wrong, or that what we do to them, is even really anything that necessarily qualifies as ethics. And Zanikin made a beautiful point, but again, you guys are kind of aligning on a lot of these particular topics in terms of what you actually even want. I mean, even in terms of the Reformation and elimination, neither of you are hardlined on that. So, but
Yeah,
anyway,
it's hard
uh,
for me to take a hardline position on anything because I know that I don't know everything, you know?
you sound so much better, by the way. I should.
Oh
I
yeah,
meant to
sorry
correct
about that.
that earlier. No, that's okay. Well, and again, this is our debate to give PMARS his experience and his resume, and to show his mettle at an actual exchange. And by the way, I really appreciate you doing this, Anakin. Seriously, you jumped right up and volunteered. And that was and you took time to do it, and you got the kids and stuff. And so seriously, it's very, very much
Oh yeah.
appreciated. Thank you for doing it.
I'm very, very nervous and it is difficult. So
Yeah.
You know what? You did great. You're clearly balancing a few things and also appearing for your first debate. I think you're a rock star. I think you knocked it out of the park. And by the way, the debates where we have the more reasonable opponents are also very pleasurable and enjoyable because you get a hold of the idea that people will reach different points of the ideological perspective for different reasons. And this is why, and especially since your mic is back, I'd like to maybe push the conversation forward because what we have here is, I think, a unique opportunity. PMARS is on the carnivore and you're on the vegan side. Both of you are aligned in a lot of the perspectives of how you see, a lot of these issues. So the idea that Zanikin has decided that the best course is going to be veganism, pushing towards veganism, minimization of animal products. Why has Zanikin decided that that is the best future? And PMARS, why have you decided that a universe where we are still utilizing animal products is the best future? And I think this is really ultimately where you two will maybe find some areas where you disagree and maybe unpack some of your presuppositions and maybe explore some of each other's moral positioning and justification. So with that, please, by all means, maybe take a minute or so and tell the people, the audience, and each other why you think your ideological future is the preferable over the opponents.
All right. I can start. I just think with the population density that we have, like as humans, really the only way it seems to be viable to like feed everybody meat is to continue factory farming. I don't really see a reasonable path forward for pasteurizing or whatever the word is for it, farming on grazing, whatever. You know what I mean, right?
One more time. I'm sorry, Xana. Can you give that one more time?
I just don't know what the word for not factory farming.
A
Is,
family farm.
Oh,
Family farm.
family farm.
Family farming.
Yeah, that's close enough. Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't think that there's enough land to do family farming and feed everybody. You know.
Pete Mars, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think that's actually they're programming that idea into people that eating meat isn't sustainable, and that's what this Agenda 21, it's all about sustainability, and you see that's like a big buzzword as of recent years. It's becoming more and more so. And so basically I think these people want us to stop eating meat for various reasons, which has nothing to do with what they tell us. Like, they're not going to tell us the truth. They tell us, vegan is healthier. They tell us, it's better for the environment. And I'm sure they'll create a bunch of scientific experiments and studies that, back up all these claims. But I think there's an agenda behind. They want us to stop eating meat, and they're not going to be honest about it. And so they create these like boogeymen or these false fears to kind of like make us do these things. Like, look at global warming. If we were to believe Al Gore's inconvenient truth, we'd all be underwater right now. And a lot of these things that scientists are just as bad as these like Christian doomsday cults that predict, Jesus is coming back, the world's going to end, and then it never happens. Like, they keep making these crazy predictions, and we're supposed to change our ways of life, and it's just, I think it's all a scam. I think it's a fraud. I think they're lying to us. I think there's no reason to change our life. I think we should keep going on the way we're doing. I don't think there's any problem. This is just a clever propaganda campaign to me.
The global temperature has like empirically risen over the last like 50 years. I mean, it's not as dramatic as Al Gore's inconvenient truth, but that was a propaganda. And Al Gore's not a scientist. So.
Yeah. But there's lots of scientists that have made like, basically the equivalent of a doomsday Christian cult.
Right. Well,
claim.
They literally have like the doomsday clock is like whatever second
Yeah.
that they update all the time. I don't listen to that necessarily. All I know is that if we just continue our way of life as it is right now, it is going to reach a doomsday point. I just don't pretend to know when that is.
It just feels like it feels like a doomsday cult. It's like the preacher's like, hey, give me all your money, sell everything you own, the world's going to end tomorrow. People do it. And that's what these this government and this like the Green New Deal. It's like, hey, the world's ending, so just give all your stuff to me. But this is the government doing it, not a kooky cult.
So it's like tithes almost. Like, give me all.
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think governments have dubious objectives, but I mean, like, even so, the data is there. Like, the global temperature does keep rising, and it's obviously going to have some sort of impact on our way of life at one point.
Another thing is like, why do we, the common everyday man peasant, it's like we're getting blamed for the damage to the environment. But isn't it these mega corporations? Aren't they the ones mostly responsible for polluting the environment? It's not like Joe's six-pack. What do? I drive my car? I mean, that can't have much of an impact compared to like what's going on in China, where they don't have environmental regulations like we do in America, and they're just spewing toxins into the atmosphere. They had to wear masks before COVID there because of that.
Right. I 100% agree that it is not your everyday person who has to make the change.
But that's who they're going to ask to make the change. These corporations aren't going to change.
Don't they always do that?
If
they literally always ask us to take on the blame. Like, every time a bunch of bankers go bankrupt, who has to bail them out? Us, the little six-pack guy.
One of these ideas to fix the environment is a carbon tax, right? Well, what is a corporation going to do with the carbon tax? It's going to pass that right on to the customer, so we're just going to be paying it, and it's just, I don't know, the whole all the solutions. Yeah.
The whole system is definitely rigged against like everyday people for sure. I just think this is one of those few things that I mean, if you just sort of ease your way into it over time, people wouldn't even question it. They wouldn't be like, "Oh, I don't get to eat cows," because, well, like they would have probably never eaten cows. You know, I'm not asking everybody to stop eating meat right now. You know,
Right.
or even I guess because I'm a libertarian like leftist, so I wouldn't ever ask anybody to stop eating meat ever. But I do think it's in our best interest.
So you're not a vegan about because of the suffering thing. Like you're not.
I don't like it, but it's not my main contention. Like,
Right.
I mean, people suffer too. Like you said, sweatshops and shit. I think that's horrible. So, I mean, I would rather address those issues first. And
Yeah,
I
that's.
think that,
Oh, sorry.
I mean, like, I think these giant factories, like, take farm out of it, like these factories where they're just got all these people working shoulder to shoulder, and those companies pollute probably just as much, if not more, than animal farming does. I mean, it seems to me like just the insane amount of industry that we have is what's killing the planet, not necessarily one kind of industry.
The one thing you said about like I think we really like I love animals and I'd love to like help animals as much as I can, but realistically, I think humans need to be the focus, and that's kind of an issue I have with veganism. Is it takes the focus off of like things we need to do to help humans have human rights and not suffer and be
Yeah.
treated well, and it puts it on
Well,
animals, you know. And,
at the risk of quoting Joe Biden here, I think we could walk and chew gum at the same time.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as long as there's people in a position where there's people starving, there's homeless people, there's stuff like that, it's like how the animals are screwed. Like if we can't even care about our own people, we're never going to really like do anything to help the animals except for like superficial stuff that just makes us feel better and we can sleep at night while we're actually being monsters.
I would agree with that. I think what was that you said? Somebody said that that humans were a virus. Who was that that said
Oh, that
that?
was on the movie The Matrix, the Agent Smith says that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, like I can kind of see that point. I don't know that like every individual human is a virus, but the way that our elites run things certainly make us a huge impact on the world. And if you think about it like that, I can see how humans are a virus. I just don't think, you know, we're not doing it on purpose. You know, like nobody's giving me a choice. Like I can't impact the earth by being green just as an individual.
Right.
All right. Well, I think you guys have come to a beautiful point. We have about 10-ish minutes left on the conversation point, but I think that's probably appropriate to move into the final statements, which I think would just be a good opportunity to just kind of take at anything you guys agreed to or even disagreed with in the debate, summarize your perspectives just in a general way. In totality, take up to 5 minutes. I'm sure neither of you probably need that much. Just kind of summarize your thoughts, and then we have a few questions from the audience we'll throw by you guys.
Well, he should go first since I opened.
Sure, by all means, P Mars, go right ahead.
My mind just totally went blank. So what are we doing? We're fine.
It's okay, man. We're doing the up to, though you don't have to use all of it, 5 minutes to just kind of summarize and close, bring everything together, your stances, and certainly anything that you conceded to or kind of saw from the perspective of the debate. Just kind of put it in a nice little package for the
Oh,
audience.
okay. I know something I could talk about. Well, one thing a lot of vegans will say, is like now in modern times we can eat vegan. Like we're not required to eat meat. We have these options. Well, the thing is, like, not everyone's body's the same, and it's like the one thing people don't understand about nutrition is like the human body is very adaptive. It can like change and adjust to survive on whatever food it's getting. Like, you could technically live off Snickers and be okay, I guess. But is it really, like, do you really want to do that? So, I mean, so what's necessary, really? But everyone's body is different, and I would never want to, like, force a diet on anyone, or, like, I think it's, like, wrong to advocate diets, you know, and you see that a lot is, like, they push, like, the carb diet or the keto or whatever diet, fat-free diet, and it's kind of dangerous. Like, I had a friend who would push keto on people, and, well, did you know that, like, some people, if they do a keto diet, they could die because their bodies aren't designed the right way? There's, like, they're missing a certain genetic thing or whatever, and they can't live like that or whatever. So, you know, you could be giving advice you think's good health diet advice, and you could end up someone dying. Like, every individual their body's sort of unique. Their diet should be unique to their whatever their body types are, what they're like. And some people couldn't do, like, a vegan diet. Like, I read this comment from tonight. I was preparing, and this guy says he's susceptible to kidney stones by oxalates, a dietary acid. About 30% of those susceptible to kidney stones, which isn't everyone, by the way, have this particular causal pattern. The rest get them from uric acid. What's the big deal with that? Well, the things that are really high in oxalates are pretty much every vegetable with protein. Everything in the legume family, for example, and then there are things like spinach and broccoli, which also have really high oxalates. If I eat a vegan diet, I'm hammering the oxalates into my body so rapidly that I would get kidney stones every 3 to 4 years. The last time I had kidney stones, I ended up in the emergency 2 nights in a row with excruciating long-lasting pain and had a stent installed for a week. That meant every time I urinated, something shoved a red-hot knife into my back. So my compelling argument against veganism is based on avoiding excruciating pain based on my physiology. Or I could end up with serious dietary deficiencies which would cause other major problems. If you don't mind, I'll just eat like an omnivore with a mix of calories from a bunch of sources, and generally avoids things which cause me debilitating pain for 12 to 168 hours. I trust you won't mind. I think that's a good to end on that.
Beautiful. Good stuff with you, Mars. Beautiful. All right, Xanakin, whenever you're ready, my friend, go right ahead. Take up to 5 minutes.
Right. So obviously, right now we don't have the kinds of supplements that people would need to deal with something like that. So I'm not advocating for people who, have to balance their diets not to eat meat. I think trial and error will probably make it to where it becomes unnecessary, even for those people. But I don't know. I can't predict the future. Man, I wish I could remember everything you said. You had a point.
I was talking about like different body types, different diets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the reason that I became a vegan is because I have Crohn's disease, so eating meat and like drinking alcohol and stuff does pretty much the same thing to me as what that guy was talking about, except, well, it hurts differently. It's a different part of the body, but yeah, I mean, obviously all diets, all people are different. You can't just necessarily balance a diet the same way, but I do think that, in the future, nutrients can be balanced, diets can be balanced without the need for meat, or at least not a lot of meat. If people were to like eat meat like 2-3 times a week, I think we'd cut back on a lot of these problems I was talking about anyway. Man, what else was I gonna say? My mind is blanking right now, so I guess I'm gonna have to end that one there.
I have that problem a lot.
No, you did great, Xanakin. Really, seriously, you did a great job, and we're very, very reasonable, and actually made a very pleasurable exchange. In fact, considering the fact that this was both of yours, first debates, I think you handled it very, very well and showed a very, very reasonable exchange. It's a few minutes to spare, so that's good stuff. So we do have a few questions from the audience. So to fulfill our obligations of attempting to be as much like MDD as possible, I suppose. Let's go into the questions from the audience. Here we go. Let's see. We got something up here from Mindbreaker Basement. Oh, here we go. All right. Here it is. Would PMARS eat his cat if Karini actually becomes a disaster?
No.
No. PMARS says no. So PMARS, I imagine that means the cat would eventually end up eating you.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well, very good. Jay Martin has a question. If you eat meat, should you know how to properly process an animal? Now, that's an interesting question.
That one doesn't seem to be directed at anybody in particular, but I would encourage people like to hunt and process. Actually, I've only been a vegan for about 4 years. I used to hunt all the time, so I know how to skin, take the guts out of an animal and all that. So it's a pretty interesting experience. I wouldn't have a
Do you
problem with
feel like there's something to someone who is a meat eater almost having to, know how to properly, skin, hunt, all those things? Is there almost a sense of obligation upon the carnivore, the human carnivore,
I wouldn't.
intimacy to the product?
I wouldn't call it an obligation. Like I wouldn't make anybody do anything, but I certainly think it's it brings you down to earth on it. Like I feel like we've gotten really lazy as like a species in general.
Yeah. We're separated from that whole process when you go to a grocery store and just take out a chunk of meat and pay for it. So I kind of think it's important to know how to properly process an animal, even though like I'm a hypocrite because I can't do this. I've skinned a fillet of fish. That's about it. But so yeah, I should actually do it because I eat meat. But yeah, I think people who eat meat should connect with the process and connect with the death of the animal. I think that's important.
Right. If you knew how much work actually went into it, you might think twice about how much of it you actually consume.
Well, I guess that means PMARS is only allowed to eat fish from now on out until he skins something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Good stuff, guys. All right. And Mindbreaker has a question. What does Xanakin think of Smokey's vegan pig farm model? That's a good question.
I actually don't know what that is.
Vegan pig farm.
Allow me to regale you all, and I'm actually glad it's now going to be part of this video in legacy and perpetuity. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a mild synopsis of Smokey's vegan pig farm. During the debate with Cosmic Skeptic had basically said you can be a meat eater and be vegan because vegan is just about minimizing animal suffering. So the idea is I'm going to go to Cambodia or Thailand or something like that, to where they have all the Komodo dragons that are eating the pigs. And Komodo dragons, when they eat pigs, they tend to eat them alive generally and chew them out asshole up, so that type of thing. So it's a very, very unpleasant type of thing for the pig in terms of its dispatch. So I'm going to go to this land. I'm going to take all of the pigs out of the natural environment. I'm going to put them into a predatory free protected environment where they'll be fed and cared for and happy and fat and not have to worry about being picked on by the giant lizards. Then when they're of a ripe appropriate age, they will be dispatched quickly and cleanly with minimization of any pain and suffering. The meat will be distributed benevolently for minimal cost to the villagers that are around, and then the byproducts will be given to the Komodo dragons so that they don't starve out. And therefore I have completely mitigated a massive amount of animal suffering across the board while still able to provide wonderful bacon and pork type products to the villagers in the region. And that will be Smokey Saint's vegan pig farm. What do you think about that, Xanakin?
I would think that a spike to the head is a lot better than getting eaten from the asshole out.
There we
So-
go. I would agree with that.
So if that's as good as it gets, then I'm okay with it.
Alrighty then. Appreciate it. Good stuff. P Mars, any response to that?
I'm shocked.
Outstanding. Okay, basement dweller with the question. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for that, Mindbreaker. Mindbreaker always knows how to do callbacks very, very effectively. Absolutely great. Okay, basement dweller says, why don't most vegans grow their food in hydroponic gardens for Xanakin?
Hydroponic.
I think
Sorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of it boils down to the reason people eat fast food a lot, right? They don't have time to cultivate that. They have jobs they got to get to. I actually do have a farm that I grow every summer. It's not hydroponic, so
I know.
don't do it.
I don't know why I had that in my brain. I think because I was researching frequency stuff earlier on Google. I think that's where my brain was going. Apologies.
Right. I think community gardens would be a really good idea. Certainly, like if not, because just growing plants in a community garden is still better for the environment than buying all your food at the grocery store. So it's actually not a bad idea.
Oh, beautiful.
Is
Excellent.
that-
P Mars, you have any response?
Is that the idea that because if it's a hydroponic, does that mean it's inside, so then it will minimize suffering because it's like
I believe so. Yeah.
it's not as much small animals and insects.
I feel like I want hydrophonic to now be a wizard word. Mindbreaker, catalog that one.
Hydroponic is what they used to call high grade marijuana back in the day. I
Yeah, but
remember.
what is hydrophonic? We need Mindbreaker catalog that. Catalog hydrophonic and come up with a fun definition for it for us, and we can add that to the catalog of wizard words. Okay, outstanding. Appreciate it. Okay, and we have looks like one more question here. This is from Jeremy again. Says, question for Xanakin: does he grow a garden or take any part in the production of his family's food intake?
Yeah, in the summer. I answered that earlier on accident.
Oh, beautiful. What do you grow?
Tomatoes, carrots, potatoes, and like various seasonings. I don't have a lot of land. I live in a trailer, so I just grow what I can. But usually the basic stuff.
Beautiful.
It changes every year. I don't grow literally the same vegetables every year. But man, I'll tell you what, vegetables that you grow yourself really do taste so much better than shit you can get in the grocery store.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent. Oh, my goodness. Looks like we have a good-sized one here from Cactus Head. A good friend, does all the music for our channel. Let's pull this up. I'm loving the fact that there's no character limit on Twitch. It's outstanding. It says, what do vegans generally think/say about the economic paradigm shift that would come into play if society moves towards a more vegan society? Just take the fishing industry worldwide as an example. Consider all the other service industries connected to fishing, farming, etc. I am assuming the vegan mindset includes not eating seafood as well. Xanakin, what do you think about that?
It would suffer. Undeniably, it would suffer. I mean, anytime you have a dramatic shift from one thing to another, you're gonna see industries collapse. I mean, nobody makes steam engines anymore. Like what happened to all their jobs? Who builds railroads anymore? Like we don't use that stuff as much. It gets phased out slowly over time, though. I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to just shut down their fish farms.
It also impact the ecology. Ecosystem?
Yeah, it would, but it would balance itself out.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously, if you have leftover cattle, you can't just like let them exist forever. Like you have to process the remaining animals. Like it's unfortunate, but that's what it is.
All right. Beautiful. Good question from Cactus. Good questions from you guys all around. And I guess that's what we have from the audience. Gentlemen, you both performed admirably. I actually really, really enjoyed this. It was a wonderful exchange. This is one of those unique debates. It's kind of like when I get into a debate with David Neff You have two debaters who have the capacity for being very, very reasonable about the topics that they're debating, and it tends to be a much more profitable and genuine exchange without much of necessarily having to score points on each other, but actually about unpacking the issue and unveiling it at deeper levels of thought and consideration from both sides of the spectrum. And I think you guys serve that purpose extremely well, both you. P-Mars, you impressed me. You did a very good job. You had a nice opening. You maintained 2 points in conversation very, very well, and made good points yourself, and were very, very reasonable in the exchange. So thank you so much for your appearance and doing this, P-Mars. You're welcome to upload this to your channel. I'll put it on YouTube as well and forward it to James to let him know your little resume to get you into the debate format, because I look forward to seeing you on MDD. I think that'll be a great thing.
Cool. Thanks, Smokey, and thanks, Anakin. Like, probably because you don't know me, but yeah, I have a reputation. I imagine it's gonna be hard for me to get opponents. So.
That's maybe a fair point. And
Well,
Zed. Oh, go ahead, Zanakin. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I definitely had fun. It was an interesting experience. Maybe I'm reasonable to a fault. Maybe not the best fodder for debates, but yeah, I mean, I definitely had a few things I got to think about now, like pesticides and all that, and I forgot how damaging that could be. So that was a good one.
Well, and one would argue you're one of the better fodder for debates, especially if you're particularly reasonable about the positions you take and the ideologies that you've absorbed. Generally, that is something, again, like I said, that makes a little bit of a better, deeper, more profitable exchange at times. So go ahead, P-Mars.
Yeah, when I was like, and all I knew about you was you're atheist and vegan. I thought you were gonna be totally crazy, but you're actually pretty reasonable.
I'm an atheist, you know, but I'm more like what would you say, like a Matt Dillahunty kind, like. Well, I'm not as much.
That's not a good comparison. Yeah.
But I mean, like, okay, as far as like, if I was to explain my atheism, it's you know, just the absence of a belief in God. Like, I think that if you claim that there is no God, you have just as much of a burden of proof as somebody who claims there is, you know. So I literally just am in the middle. Like, I don't.
Well, the burden of proof is on the person who's trying to convince the other person, I would say. So.
I suppose. Well, then I guess everybody has the burden of proof.
Yeah, if you don't care what other people think, though, then you don't.
Beautiful. Zanakin, you did great. I really appreciate you actually doing this. It was a wonderful thing. The fact that you volunteered and took the time and just were happy to do it, and even pushing through any of the nervousness and all the things you were balancing. Really, you're a rock star, man. Seriously, I really appreciate you doing this. You're a great guy. Thank you. It was a wonderful, generous exchange, and it really was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
No, it was fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, maybe again in the future. And remember, guys, we do the open mic shows pretty regularly, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Appreciate everyone in chat. Oh, Will Kincaid at the last minute, I think. Wait, what do we got here from Will? Says, ask Zanakin about the DP Facebook rebellion of 15. Okay. We're going to hear Will because we love Will. Go ahead.
I didn't really start watching DP until 2016, like after Trump's election. So was that when they left, like when all the other dudes left DP? TJ and the other two?
I imagine that's probably what he's talking about, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't give a shit about any of that. I just watch what I like.
Outstanding. Well, there you go, Will. You got your answer. Yeah. Totally on topic for the debate. Good job. Will.
Well, we actually, me and Will met because we were both former DP fans, and we met on Brett's live stream. So we've known each other for a good while now.
You know each other for the situation. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I just had to do that.
It's an individual situation.
Sorry, I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. If you say Brett Keane, it's gonna come out. It's just like a genie. You know, it's just Will did that.
It's a good impression.
Will did that to me. It's funny. Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to the debaters. Thank you for the people that came in and participated in the chat, asked the questions. P. Mars, you wanted to say something? Sorry.
I was gonna say good night.
Oh yeah, good. Good night
Good
to
night.
everyone. Thank you guys so much. And we will also play this on the YouTube channel, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys. And Smoky Saint and the debaters are signing out.
All right, rock and roll.
Sweet.
And we are off the air. Good show, P Mars. You did great, man. Appreciate you.
Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate you for giving me a chance to debate, because like no one's given me a chance really. So
I know this. No one likes to give you a chance, P Mars, because they all hate you. But I got a thick skin and I like people, so I like you, P Mars. I like you.
You like the people no one gives a chance, and you help them out, like you did with the real estate thing.
I do my best. I do my best. I'm here to be a servant to the saints as best as I can. So yeah,
it pissed me. I'm even upset at Tog because like this affected me, right? Because I wanted to be on your YouTube.
Right, exactly that too, and I apologize for that.
No, that's that. I feel bad, man, because it's like a lot of hard work now that you have to do with all this shit.
I literally checked the strike while you guys were debating, and it's still there.
Yeah, I don't think it's going down. Is it a week or is it 3 months that you can't?
Well, I'm gonna wait. I was hoping it might come off today because of like business days type of situation. But
they have to have a. I think they have to have a person review it. Could take it forever.
Yeah, it could.
So
yeah.
But how long does it say on? Doesn't it say like when you can live stream again on there?
It didn't get it. I haven't gotten an email to say anything about that, and there's nothing inside the actual details to say anything about how long a suspension is.
Tog is such a fucking dumbass. I can't believe he did that shit.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, all right. Well, thanks a lot, Smokey.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. You have a good night. We'll chat later.
Okay, cool. See ya.
Take care, man.
Oh, I thought I ended it. Whoops. Oh, I want to read the chat. Oh. Good thing no one blocked them. That's cool. You're talking about flat Earth and shit. What the fuck? I love how YouTube chats are just like never about anything on the fucking channel. Yo, Fight the Flat Earth wanted to debate me or some shit on Modern Day Debates. Should I debate Fight the Flat Earth about I could argue the Earth is flat? I would fucking argue it reverse him, even though I don't think it's true. And I mean I'd get murdered, right? Because I'd totally lose the debate, but I would just like talk about the scientific dictatorship and shit. It'd be like, you can't, that's all I would do. I'd just be like, you can't trust science, man. There's a conspiracy, bruh. I wonder how Fight the Flat Earth would react to me, like quoting Aldous Huxley and Dwight Eisenhower or some shit. Bertram Russell. I had the alpha volume. I didn't mean to do that shit. I never can get my audio fucking right. I'd rather be too loud than too low, I guess. I don't know why the audio is always fucked. And then my mic's all fucked. Because it like has an auto gain thing. Oh yeah, it sounds like I'm rubbing it out. That's because I have Tourette's and I rub my hands together. I have Tourette's and I just start masturbating. It's a tick. Are you rubbing one out? Yeah, that's my Tourette's. I just start jerking it like the masturbating bear. You ever seen the masturbating bear?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're of course at the height of the holiday season right now, and as usual, the television networks are inundating us with holiday specials. It seems anyone who wants their own special can have one, and nowhere was that more apparent than last week when Martha Stewart had her Christmas special and hosted it with one of late night's most beloved characters. If you missed it, it was quite strange. Check out a few of these highlights.
In Tchaikovsky's renowned Christmas ballet, The Nutcracker Suite, the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy has always been one of my favorite moments. As a girl, I would sit forward in my seat, waiting for the prima ballerina to enter on her toes, pirouetting through a glittering world of holiday confections and spectacular sweets. What really attracted my attention, though, was the fairy's magic wand. Sorry, Teeny, not a snow cloud in that sky. But I'm still hoping for a white Christmas. I bet you'd like to play with all those other animals in the...
Man, so much... The masturbating bear, all right? He's gonna get Kevin some money. Right over here. Right this way. This is terrific. Not the sack. Yeah. Now, masturbating bear, understand you have 15 seconds. You have 15 seconds in this booth to grab as many $1,000 bills as you can, all right? And you're gonna split them with Kevin on the phone, okay? You ready, masturbating bear? Okay, here we go. On your mark, get set, and go! Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the bear didn't grab any money at all. Kevin, are you still on the phone, Kevin?
Yeah. That bear just masturbated away my kid's Christmas.